We're at the Thorn Street Brewery in the North Park neighborhood of San Diego. The master brewer here comes up with 20 new recipes every year, and they're known for their award-winning IPAs. Today we're meeting with Southern California voters about issues all Californians are interested in, including those concerns with the border.
My name is Rachel Scatizzi Thompson, and I'm one of the founding partners of an all-female family law firm here in San Diego, Smith & Scatizzi. And one of the biggest issues that I'm concerned with is the prevalence of human trafficking, both here in San Diego and throughout the state of California.
My name is Greg Stein. I'm a lifelong entrepreneur and currently CEO of a startup software company called Shadowbox, bringing technology to healthcare. My major concerns are San Diego's unfunded pension liability and making sure the federal government implements immigration reform.
My name is Marcus Turner. I'm the head of my local community organization in Ocean Beach. I'm also an educator. And right now, our biggest issue is battling short-term vacation rentals and how they impact our community.
Thank you for being here with us today. We're going to start off with an issue that everyone across the country is talking about, and that's immigration. So what does immigration mean to you, and what kind of things stir up in you when you hear about it?
What I think about is what this country was literally built on was built on immigrants coming to this country and making it what it is today. So when I think about where the immigration debate is today, I'm very disheartened at where it is, because it villainizes a lot of really hardworking people, and I personally don't agree with a lot of the things that are going on.
Well, what you said, Mark, is actually really important to me as a small business owner, a startup company, because we want to bring the best and brightest wherever they are, whether it's down the street in Ocean Beach or it's across the world in Uzbekistan. We need to have the best and most talented people here, and we need to have comprehensive immigration reform so that there's a process that people can follow that is appropriate, works for America.
I can't really speak to where I am on immigration reform at this point in time, but I can tell you that I really am happy with where we are here in San Diego and the flow of immigrants that we have here in our community. And yesterday was the naturalization ceremony downtown at the Civic Center. The line stretched all the way around the block of people who were coming into the Civic Center to become U.S. citizens, and it gave me chills. It gives me chills now. Gave me chills then to see all of these folks who were becoming naturalized citizens and thinking about what that moment must mean for them.
And it's so important that you say that, but there's the opposite side of that. So there are all these people who have gone through the right process. They've waited in line, they've filled out the forms, they were in the lottery, they did the visa program, whatever it may be. And there's a limit to how many of those folks that a system allows. And yet meanwhile, there are many, many people that are coming across the border illegally. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really where the passions start to come in, and that is, how do we have a legal system that, from agricultural workers to high-tech workers, works for America, but how do we also ensure that those people who are getting around the system and making it harder to bring the people in that we need have their fair shot? And so it's a really challenging conversation.
But what's also really important at the same time, though, is that we don't vilify those people that may be circumventing the system just because they're coming to this country to get seeking greater opportunity. You know, majority of these people, and the statistics prove that majority of these people are not criminals. They're not these people that are coming and causing problems.
What's the solution? Is it somewhere in the middle? And if so, how do we find that?
We start with civility. It's really important that people with differing perspectives actually sit down and talk to each other, kind of like we're doing now.
Absolutely.
Without calling each other names, without vilifying their motives, without making them the enemy. And I really wish that we'd get back to a time where our political leaders would spend more time talking to each other than yelling at each other.
I agree with that.
I would as well. That's the answer right there.
Now, while we're talking about immigration, another issue comes up, which has been a topic of conversation since before the Trump administration took office, and that was to build a wall.
Congress must fund the border wall.
For the three of you who live here, is that a good solution, a border wall?
I believe that building a wall is not civility, is not that answer. There is kind of a wall already there.
It may not make sense to build a physical wall across the entire border. What we should have is, where it's appropriate, like the 14 miles that the wall currently exists, that's appropriate. But in areas where, across the desert, where people aren't actually going, it doesn't make sense from a fiscal standpoint to build an infrastructure.
I do understand why we have the system we have right at the southern edge of San Diego County. I understand that. Why we would extend that all the way across the southern border of the United States makes no sense to me, particularly at the price tag attached to it.
One of the issues that's top of mind for you is affordable housing. What's happening here in San Diego?
Right now, the biggest issue has been the STVR battle with how to handle short-term vacation rental or home sharing. It is very much affecting housing prices. It's kicking out long-term home residents. It's affecting our school Title I funding in different neighborhoods. It's a very real issue right now.
Unfortunately for San Diego, geographically, we have the ocean, the border, the mountains, and the desert. And there is only so much space. In order to accommodate the people that are our children to buy a home here, we need to build more houses. The way that we're attempting to go about solving this housing affordability challenge is exactly the wrong way. Rent control limits rentals.
We're struggling to meet the needs of the folks who need housing the most. So not only making it more affordable for those of us who are fortunate enough to have jobs, but also for those who are leaving the foster care system and don't have a job.
So while we're talking about affordable housing, that leads to another big issue, and not only here, but in many, many cities across the country, and that's homelessness. That's a big issue here.
We need to have systems in place that address the drug issue. We need to have systems in place that address mental health issues. We need to have systems in place that stop the police from being the enforcers of behavioral health issues.
I grow hesitant to blanket substance abuse as the homelessness issue. A lot of times, people end up on the street because they can't afford their rent. They got into a car accident going to their job, and they were hurt, but they can't afford health insurance. They can't afford their bills. And then now all of a sudden they're living out of their car with their 2 kids. By no means have they ever done a drug in their life.
We don't have all the answers. But in the work that we're doing to try to find safe places for people to live, to try to find a place where they can drive in their car, if they're living in their car with their kids, and they can lock the gates and they can be assured that they're going to sleep in their car that night, they're going to be safe doing so. Those are little things, but they mean so much.
What do you think is going to happen? Where are we at right now? Is it a good place? Do you think there's going to be a shift in power from the GOP to the Democrats?
I think if you read the polls and you get the feel of what's happening in the community today, it's very likely that there will be a shift, at least in the House of Representatives. I don't know about the Senate. Now, I'm not going to be happy with some of the shift in direction towards more regulation, making it harder for businesses like mine to get off the ground and survive. We've seen the economy blossom over the last couple of years as a part of the deregulatory effort that the administration has undertaken. But I get that people are angry.
I do agree with Greg that people are upset, people are very angry right now, and people are very scared about what's going on right now with this current administration. The rhetoric coming from the administration is absolutely terrifying to a number of communities that I'm very personally involved with, that I grew up with, that I knew. And so it goes beyond more than just, oh, am I going to make a buck here, or am I going to make less money doing this? It comes like this is literally people are fighting for their lives. They're scared for their children. They're scared for their parents.
Rachel, I'm going to let you wrap this one up.
So I'm not willing to hazard a guess as to what is going to be the outcome, but I'm going to tell you what I hope is the outcome. And that is that we have a record voter turnout for a midterm election, particularly among women voters. And so what I hope to see more than anything here is that regardless of which side of the aisle you're on, regardless of what you want to see happen, that you get out there and let your voice be heard.